The United States announced on Monday visa restrictions against leaders and accomplices of violence in Western Cameroon. Western Cameroon is the scene of a 4-year bloody conflict between armed Anglophone groups and the army. The U.S. State Department says that the sanctions are aimed at those who undermine the peaceful resolution of the crisis. The statement further called on the Cameroonian government and armed separatist groups to end the violence and engage in dialogue. The English-speaking minority in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions blame the French-speaking majority for marginalizing them. In 2017, protests by teachers and lawyers in Cameroon's 2 English-speaking regions over marginalization quickly changed into armed conflict. Separatist rebels, calling themselves Amba Boys, have said that they seek to create an independent state named Ambazonia. International NGOs and UN regularly accuse both sides of abuses and crimes against humanity in the violence, which has left more than 3,500 people dead and forced more than 700,000 to flee their homes. For more on this story, we're now joined from Washington, D.C. by Dr. Fontem Neba, who's the Secretary General for the Southern Cameroons Alliance. Dr. Neba was one of the first leaders of the resistance who was arrested and spent 8 months in jail in Cameroon. Dr. Neba, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I do get a feeling that what's been happening in Cameroon is one of these sadly untold stories that's been going for years and years and years and just never really makes the headlines all that much. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think for those who have been following events in Cameroon, the media blackout on the conflict and the scale, the killings that have attained genocidal proportions is just an unfortunate situation, because we would expect that the world, the international community, will run to the help of people who need their assistance. And I think the government of Cameroon is partly responsible, because they continue to give the international community the impression that they are solving the problem, whereas the problem is escalating daily and it has completely gone out of control.
You were a victim of this yourself. I mean, 17th January 2017, you were amongst those people that were arrested by a squad of police. Tell us a little bit about that experience. And I guess it's a symptom of what happens to many people all the time.
Yes, the government of Cameroon is a police. In fact, Cameroon is a police state. And on the day we were arrested, the president of the consortium and myself were going out to see some people, and plainclothes soldiers, policemen, and gendarmes blocked us and took us out of the car in which we were, and seized our phones, and they were going to take us away without the people in the neighborhood knowing that we had been abducted, because it was actually an abduction. And what happened was that somewhere on the road, I suddenly stopped the car, opened the door, and shouted to a little crowd that was standing by that we were being abducted. And that is how the news spread. It permitted the world to know that we had been abducted. The government could have eliminated us in silence and claimed that they didn't know where we were.
So there are many people living in fear every day. They just don't know when they're going to be picked up. Is it as simple as English, French-speaking people, or it's a bit more complicated than that?
It is a very complicated situation. It is a very complicated situation. Being an English-speaking person in Cameroon now is a very risky thing. Right now, as we speak, Barrister Amungwa, who was the lead lawyer of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, has been arrested and taken to the Secretariat for Defense. It is a notorious dungeon where the government stores its opponents. The reason for arresting Barrister Amongwa is unknown to anyone, but we believe that the government is doing everything to stifle the discussion and the resolution of this conflict, because they know for 60 years they have held the people of southern Cameroon in captivity, in slavery, in bondage, and the time is up.
This issue goes back to the 60s, doesn't it? And it's a colonial era. Independence was supposed to have been given to people of the southern Cameroons, but it didn't quite play out as it was supposed to.
Exactly. And there is no treaty between the people of southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroun. And with the unilateral withdrawal from any form of union, whether verbal or agreed, in 1983 by President Paul Biya, it became clear that southern Cameroon was free to go their way. But it is surprising that requests or demands for this resolution of problems that beset the people of southern Cameroon ever since they came together with La République du Cameroun turned into a military issue. The government of Cameroon hopes that they can bludgeon, kill, maim, and decimate southern Cameroons to compel them to continue to live together. But I think our people have made it abundantly clear that we are ready to dialogue with the government of Cameroon, and we are ready to go to the root of this conflict and resolve the issues.
I think the abuses by government authorities, soldiers, police are well documented now. But there is another side to this story, and they're saying that English-speaking separatists are also guilty of excesses and abuses. Is that something that you're seeing?
I would like to say with certainty that the conflict as we see it has become a business. The government of Cameroon has, particularly government officials, have proxy forces. They have hoodlums who have been hired and other vigilantes that operate within the territory of southern Cameroon. They conduct kidnapping for ransom. And we are aware that some of the monies that have been paid as ransom have been collected in towns like Bafia, which are in the central region of Cameroon. Bafia is not in the English-speaking part of the country. So we can say with certainty that the issue of kidnapping and violence by militias is mainly by government-sponsored units. But and these are the units we call them Atanganji boys, named after Mr. Paul Atanganji, who is the Minister of Territorial Administration and very, very notorious for helping to escalate this conflict. Although an English-speaking or a Southern Cameroonian by birth, he helped the government to establish a grip on the people by claiming that the people of Southern Cameroon did not have any problem. So when you look at the way the situation has escalated and the way the people who escalated it have been rewarded, you see that the government of Cameroon is not ready to resolve this conflict anytime soon.
You must be pleased then with the move that Washington has made in terms of imposing these restrictions. In fact, going back as far as 2019, the Trump administration ending Cameroon's preferential trade benefits over extrajudicial killings. It seems to be coming more and more on the radar for superpowers like America. Do you think that these visa restrictions will assist? And I suppose you want more to be done.
I think everybody is, the visa restrictions are a welcome development. It is a sign that the American government is shifting gears and that the international community can take action to put an end to this conflict. We would like to see more because when you look at what is going on, most of the people who are involved in the escalation and the obstruction of the resolution of this conflict have French citizenship. More than half of President Biya's government is made up of French citizens. They have all taken up French citizenship. And it makes it such that whenever they need a medical vacation, they go to France. Those of them who have assets in America, who have any reason to travel to America, come there to see their children, in whose names they have stored most of their assets, their children and other family members. So we would like to see a freezing of these assets. People related to members of government who have assets that cannot be justified by their income here in the United States should have such frozen. Then we also would like to see a situation whereby the sale of weapons, because the Cameroon continues to buy weapons from countries in Eastern Europe, Bulgaria and the Czechs are selling weapons, and yesterday an Antonov AN-12 was was tracked carrying a shipment of weapons to Cameroon. The plane was spotted descending somewhere around eastern Nigeria, and we expect that it would have landed in one of the military bases in Cameroon. So if the sale of weapons to Cameroon can also be stopped, if it is banned, then we believe that Cameroon will be more likely disposed to come to the negotiation the negotiation table. And as I said before, the people of Southern Cameroon had earlier declared in 2019 that they were ready to dialogue with the government of Cameroon without precondition.
One gets a sense that France has a huge role to play in the resolution of the Southern Cameroon's question. Is France a hindrance at the moment, or are they doing something to help?
Well, I followed a discussion in the French Parliament, and the French, from the impression that we get, the French seem to be helpless, because following what the French French said, they tried to give help, and the Cameroon government said they needed but logistic support. But I think that with the influence that the French have within the 14 countries that make up the France-Afrique, the government of France can exert pressure at the United Nations and within the Francophonie and other multilateral organizations in which Cameroon is. If the French are willing, I believe that the solution could be expedited.
All right, we've run out of time, but a final question, and I just wonder what the answer is. How is it that a black brother can kill another black brother over colonial languages that are not their own?
I don't think that the issue is only about colonial languages. It is also about a system that has not worked for our people. It is also about political ruse and mismanagement of the territory of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon have suffered immensely during their years with La République du Cameroun, and we think that we can have a better arrangement whereby the people can have self-determination as defined by the United Nations.
Okay. My dear brother, thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing this story. I know that it's difficult for you and your brothers, but thank you for giving it to us to talk about. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, that's Fontem Neba talking about US sanctions that have been imposed on individuals regarding the hindrances standing in the way of trying to get a resolution on that difficult question of the southern Cameroons and Cameroon, the main, in terms of the English and French-speaking parts of the country. A conflict that's been running for a long, long time.